Welcome to the audiobook Pregnant by My Bully by Simply Lush. What happens when a project is assigned in one of the many classes 𝙼𝙖 and Tyson share, forcing 𝙼𝙖 to go over to Tyson's? More importantly, what happens when 𝙼𝙖 falls pregnant with Tyson's baby? Narrated by Rebecca Sanford. Prologue.
You wanted this to happen, didn't you?
Tyson screamed in my face, his red face filled with anger. His veins pop out as he shoves me back, making my back hit the brick wall behind me. I wince and shake my head as pain shoots up from my spine and onto the back of my head. I swear I didn't, Tyson. You forced yourself onto me. Tyson glares and shakes his head and jabs his finger at my stomach roughly as I stagger a breath.
You get rid of this thing right now, 𝙼𝙖.
I yelp as his finger jabs into my side one last time before he steps back and glares at me and points his finger at me with anger still radiating off his aura.
I swear to God, if you don't get rid of that thing, I will, 𝙼𝙖 Fox. And that's a promise.
He yells one last time before walking away. Chapter 1. I woke up to the sound of bacon sizzling and pots and pans banging when they collided together. I softly smile, which I rarely do, before walking over to the dresser that my mom and I shared. I pulled open the top drawer that had all my clothes and pulled out a black sweatshirt, along with a pair of black skinny jeans that had holes on each knee and a dark navy blue flannel. I tie the flannel around my waist before tying my blonde hair into a loose, messy bun, which didn't come out like the ones that you see on Tumblr, to my dismay. I don't apply makeup, nor do I ever do. I didn't like the way it felt on my face and how it made me look. Every time I did have it on, I felt like a different person, and I didn't like that one bit. I don't understand why girls cake their faces with so much beauty products. It hides away their freckles and wrinkles, but it doesn't hide the fake person they truly are. So why go through all that trouble and pretend to be something you're not? Shaking my head, I turn off the light and close the sliding door to the room. I don't have to walk far to get my mom to the kitchen because as soon as I walk out of the cupboard, I'm right in the kitchen. Sometimes I feel like I'm Harry Potter, living under the stairs, except I don't have a horrible aunt and uncle and a horrible cousin. Instead, I have a lovable, caring mother who works her ass off just to get me into school and a roof over my head, even if it's a trailer. Morning, Mom, I say, smiling as I kiss her cheek and take a seat at the small table in the middle of the kitchen. It smells really good. Morning, sweetie. Sleep well? She asks, not looking at me as she flips the bacon. I smile and nod my head. A red envelope sits under a bunch of unopened white envelopes in the middle of the table. I look over at my mom, who yet hasn't turned to face me, and grab the red envelope. Rent due. I sigh and look over at my mom, who was humming a song along with the small 80s radio that came with the trailer, and shake my head. Mom, this is the third month we've missed paying rent. If we don't pay this month, we'll lose everything, I say, making her stop humming and tense up in position. 𝙼𝙖, I've got it under control. You don't have to worry about it. Mom, do you need help with the money? I can give you some, really. It's not that much. You don't even have to pay me back. It could be like an early Christmas and birthday present, I say, smiling softly as my mom's face hardens. 𝙼𝙖, I have it all under control. You go on and save your money for college, she says, shaking her head. You don't need to be wasting your money on your mama when you could be off buying some clothes, she says, setting a plate in front of me. Mom, seriously, it's no big deal. That's enough, 𝙼𝙖, she yells, making me flinch. Her eyes soften as she wipes her hands on her baby blue diner uniform from her job and places her hand over mine. I'm sorry, 𝙼𝙖. I didn't mean to raise my voice. Just please drop the subject. I let out a sigh and nod my head. I knew my mom wasn't being honest. She's never lied to me and never will. She was the one who's been completely honest with me since she found out she was pregnant. She always put my needs before hers, which I was truly grateful. Though she never had the money to buy me expensive clothing like most kids my age, she still bought me clothes to put on my back, even if they were from the DI. I have to go to school. Will you be working tonight? I say, standing up and setting my now empty plate in the sink and kiss my mom on the cheek. Yes, but I might be off before midnight. It all just depends on when the last customer leaves or enters, she says, letting out a sigh. I softly smile and give her one last hug before walking out of the trailer. The sun was bright and shining on my face, the dead grass that I call my lawn crunching under my shoes as I walked to get on it over the railroad and to the sidewalk. For some reason, the poor side of our little town was on the other side of the train tracks, south to the border and west of the beach. You could basically tell which side of town one person lives on by the look of their clothing, or their bodies, or by the way they walk. I lived in a small town in California, close to the Mexican border. We had a train that came by every day carrying loads and loads of equipment and food from all over the world, which also separated the poor people from the rich people. If one of us poor folks wanted to go into town, we had to cross over the tracks in hopes not to get hit by the train that had no schedule whatsoever. It's been best of my luck that I have yet to been hit.
The square root of 25 is?
Mr. Bush said in a bored tone as he jots down random math questions on the board.
Is 5.
I sigh and look up at the clock above Mr. Bush's head. I've only been in math class for 5 minutes and he already has me confused and lost. I just don't understand how he can do that. Psst, trailer girl. I hear someone whisper shout at me. I tense, already knowing who called my name. Tyson Bradford. The school's richest and golden boy, also known as my bully. I could feel his eyes boring into mine, making my body shiver and my spine crawl. I slowly turn around to face Tyson, only to have a wet piece of paper hit me square on the face right between my eyes. Bullseye! Tyson cheers along with his friends as the wet piece of paper falls off my face and onto the crook of my lap, clinging onto my jeans like its life depended on it. I roll my eyes and turn back around as Mr. Bush finishes writing the equations on the board before finally turning around and meeting everyone's gaze.
All right, when your name is heard, please stand up and walk to the assigned table where you will sit and be assigned a project with your assigned partner,
Mr. Bush says as he walks in front of his desk and crosses his arms and rests them on his pot belly that is visible through his dark green striped school soccer shirt. I let out a mental groan in my head as I look around the room. Almost everyone in this class was friends, except for me. I wasn't friends with any of them. Yes, I knew them, but I was either being bullied by them or have them even realize how amazing and funny I am to notice. Or simply just because I was nobody, or the girl who lived in a trailer park with her teen mother who had me at age 16 and has worked at the same diner for nearly 16 years.
Aaliyah Fox and Tyson Bradford, you guys get the medical field. Take this paper and go sit at one of the empty tables available and discuss the agreements,
Mr. Bush says, jumping me out of my thoughts. I freeze and register everything that Mr. Bush just said. Tyson fucking Bradford is my partner? My bully? What the hell? I could feel multiple eyes on me as I take everything in. I could hear the snickers coming from other people, making me blush and quickly gather my things.
Look at the trailer park,
one guy snickers.
She looks like she's gonna pee her pants.
I flush even redder, if that's possible. With my head kept down, I don't meet anyone's gaze as I snatch the paper from Mr. Bush before quickly running to an empty table in the back, far from everyone else. Something slaps down on the table right next to me, making me squeal and jump out of fright. Everyone in the class laughs and points at me as Tyson takes the seat across from me and gives me a disgusted look. Don't want to catch chlamydia from you, he says, staring at me, making me look down with a frown as everyone bursts out into another fit of laughter. I hear Mr. Bush clear his throat and I look up hoping he would get mad or angry at what Tyson said to me. But he doesn't. No one does. Not even the teachers. Sighing, I look over at Tyson, who's looking down at his phone playing some game. Shaking my head, I look down at the paper in my hand. It says we have to make a poster outside of class about the medical field. whether it be doctors or scientists, and discuss how they use math and how much financially they make each year. I look up as beeping sounds come from Tyson's phone as he continues on playing the game. I let out a sigh and repeat what I said, but he continues on ignoring me. I frown and read the rest of the paper silently.
Just because I didn't reply to you doesn't mean I wasn't listening to you.
I stop reading and look up at Tyson, who's now looking up from his phone and looking up at me for once. I nod my head, not saying anything, which causes him to roll his eyes. I don't reply as I look back down at the paper. I start to read it out loud again, but I have a hard time reading the paper due to my dyslexia. And I look up and start watching the other kids in the room reading along with their partners with no problem. I envy those kids. They don't know the struggle of wanting to sit down with a nice novel in hand and read the book without any help from others. They don't have to suffer from the pain of taking a special class on the down low to help with their reading just so that no one finds out and makes fun of them even more than they already are.
You okay?
You're fucking staring at everyone while biting your lip. Are you plotting to kill us with your STDs?
I'm sorry, Fox, but no one is that desperate to sleep with you. Not even the really depressed kids who want to actually die,
Tyson says, snapping me out of my thoughts. I nod my head and look down to the paper. Yes. I just thought I heard my name. Tyson lets out a laugh and shakes his head as he brings his finger up to his face and wipes under his eye with a flick, drawing an invisible fake tear in the process.
You're funny, Aaliyah. Trust me, you didn't hear shit because no one wants to or needs to talk to you.
I blink as his words hit me like a bunch of stones. I could feel the tears in my eyes well up from the pain of his words, but I blink them away. There's no need to cry and show him my weakness when all he was doing was telling me the truth. Can never blame anyone for the truth, no matter how bad it hurts. Sorry, I'll start to read again. I stutter out and begin to read the paper. As I read out loud, I could hear the game on Tyson's phone go off again, making me fidget in my seat as I hear blood-curdling screams from both male and female, along with the sound of a chainsaw going off as Tyson plays his game with a smirk. I shake my head and turn the paper over with my eyes wide at the due date on the bottom of the paper in bold letters. January 12th, 2017. I look back up at Tyson and watch as his smirk turns into a smile as he completes the level he was on his game. And fist bumps in the air. I almost smile at his happiness, but shake it off knowing what he would say or do if he caught me smiling or staring at him. So instead of smiling, I clear my throat, which catches his attention, and his brown eyes bore into mine like an eagle to his prey. The project is due next time? Do you want to just do half? My voice is shaking in the process. Tyson rolls his eyes and shakes his head.
Just because I'm hot and popular doesn't mean I don't do my work for myself, Fox.
He says, putting his phone down on the table with a screen facing up, flashing game characters being slaughtered by a serial killer that looks like Jason, but fatter. Well, I just thought you wouldn't want to be seen with me.
Well, over to my house today after school. I don't want to catch a disease from your trailer park that's incurable,
he says after shaking his head again.
Besides, no one will see you by my car because we'll leave after the parking lot is deserted and no one can see you get in my car. Only God knows how many girls would never fuck me in my car again if they saw you enter my house or car.
But I can't go today. I have work right after, I stutter, pushing back his harsh words and replace them with my job at the same diner my mom works at. Tyson glares at me.
Fox, this is your only time to come over. Now you better meet me at my car after school or your ass is failing.
I shut my mouth and nod my head. God, Josie's gonna kill me for not showing up. Tyson smirks and pats my cheek a little too hard than a normal pat.
See? It wasn't hard to change your plans.
I don't reply, and Tyson stands up and stretches his arms over his chest, his gray hoodie rising up in the process, showing his V-line and six-pack. I blush and look away as Tyson smirks and pats my cheek again. Good, you'll finally be able to play doctor and patient slut, he says, before grabbing his stuff and walks out of the room, just as the bell rings, dismissing class. Chapter 2.
Mount Vesuvius volcano was just a few miles away from the city of Pompeii, and the residents didn't even know that it was a volcano.
My history teacher, Miss Christopher, says, pointing at the volcano that destroyed the city thousands of years ago.
Miss?
A voice says, making me tense up at the sound of his voice.
How didn't they know it was a volcano? Wouldn't they have seen, smoke rising from it? Mr. Bradford, the technology and the education were low back then. In fact, they didn't have technology at all.
Miss Christopher replies as she switches to the next slide that shows a painting of the volcano erupting, and what the terror would be like.
But still, if I were them, I would have known something was odd about that mountain,
Tyson says, laughing along with his football buddies. I roll my eyes and turn around and face him. He laughs and high-fives his best friend Jasper Knight with his left hand before turning his eyes to me and raises his eyebrows at me.
What do you want, Trailer Park? You already have 10 STDs. What more would you want?
Tyson laughs as well as the whole class. I blush and turn back around and bring my hand to my forehead to lean against it as I pile my notebook with notes on the side. Miss Christopher doesn't say anything, as per usual, before turning back to her lesson. I shake my head and keep a low profile, as I always do, and try to listen to the current lesson on Pompeii. Watch it, Trailer Park. Cassidy Jones laughs as she shoves past me with her softball buddies, making my books and papers fly out of my grip and everywhere. People that stand around me laughing and pointing, none bothered to even lend a helping hand as I try and pick everything up. They walk all over the papers, making sure to leave a muddy shoe print or crumble them up with each passing step they take as they step on them. I hear one of my multiple papers tear, causing me to look up and stare wide-eyed as Tyson rips 2 more papers of mine and throws them back on the ground. He laughs and bends down so that he's eye level to me and sends a smirk that would have most girls bending down on one knee and a diamond gold ring in a leather box out.
Meet me by my car after school after everyone leaves.
He whispers into my ear so that no one else can hear. I nod, not saying anything, and turn over so that I'm facing the left lockers as Tyson pats my cheek roughly and stands up. He laughs and kicks at my leg, making me wince and flinch in pain. He shakes his head and walks down the hall, whistling a random tune. I sigh and gather the rest of my papers and throw all the ripped ones in the library trash can before taking a seat at one of the back tables. I look out the window as the rain falls and softly taps at the glass. Blurry vision of the old oak tree in the back of the school where an old tire swing swung back and forth from all of the wind that was being blown. The wind makes a whistling sound, the sound creeping in through the cracked sides, and I smile as I rest my head against the cold surface of the glass that instantly calms my heat. I close my eyes as the library plays the soft music of country that our librarian plays whenever the library is deserted or when she's trying to get a task done. An old Taylor Swift song starts to play through the speakers, and I mentally smirk as I start to hum and sing along. You with your words like knives, and swords and weapons that you use against me. You have knocked me off my feet again. Got me feeling like nothing. You with your voice like nails on a chalkboard calling me out when I'm wounded. You picking on the weaker man. You can take me down with just one single blow, but you don't know what you don't know. Someday I'll be living in a big old city, and all you're ever gonna be is mean. Someday I'll be big enough that you can't hit me, and all you're ever gonna be is mean. Why you gotta be so mean? I sing along as I look through the fogged-up glass, staring and watching as the tire swing swung back and forth in a lightly matter. A smile itches itself across my face as the chorus comes back on, and images flash through my eyes as I remember when my mom first showed me this song. It was the Christmas of 2010. I just turned 10 and we were sitting around the small Charlie Brown Christmas tree that we always got during Christmas, drinking hot chocolate. It was like every other Christmas, where I didn't get any gifts because we couldn't afford it, except I got one gift. That gift was my mom showing me that I wasn't alone, and that there was a way to get away from all of my bullying. She showed me through her crappy phone the song that brought all my hopes up. That song just so happened to be the current song playing through the library speakers right now. I remember I had a big smile on my face looking up at my mom as she smiled down at me with her warm smile and whispered to me the words that I would remember my whole life. "Aaliyah, do not let those words that people tell you bring your flame down. You know they aren't true, and you shouldn't listen to them because you know that they aren't anything but lies. So instead, take all of those negative comments about you, hold it above your flame, and say a little prayer before releasing them into your flame, and let it go stronger and bigger. Because the words that people tell you will only make you grow stronger and them grow weaker." The sound of the school bell blares, snapping me out of my trance. I smile at the memory and look up at the ticking clock on the wall and let out a sigh. It was 3:30. School got out 2 minutes ago, and if I want to leave the building and arrive at Tyson's truck without a busted open lip and a black eye, I should leave right now. Gathering my things, I wave goodbye to the librarian before walking out the 2 double doors. The hallway was deserted. The only people in the hallway were Janitor Billy and some kid rummaging through his locker. The school hallways at my school always cleared faster and quicker every Friday night. No one stayed to mingle by their lockers or even in the parking lot by their cars. They all wanted to go home and relax during their weekend away from the hellhole they call a school. I mean, I would too, but I never got the time to relax because of my job at the local diner downtown and my volunteer work at the old folks' home in town, right across from the diner. There, I spent most of my free time because that's where I feel more comfortable at, and because I don't have to worry about getting an extra bruise from someone because no one dared to step inside a building where old people sat staring at a broken television and complaining about their joint pains. "God damn, it took you long enough." Tyson snaps when I finally reach him at his black truck. I shake my head and look down at my feet, releasing a sigh. "Sorry. I had to visit Mr. Bush," I lied, knowing that I would get in trouble if he really knew where I was. Tyson rolls his eyes and opens his car door harshly and gets in. "Whatever, I don't give a shit. Just get in so we can get this done and over with." I bite my lip and quickly get in and move a strand of my hair that fell out of my bun out of my face and put my seatbelt on. Tyson doesn't wait for me to settle in my seat before hurtling out of the parking lot, burning rubber in the process. I clench onto the seatbelt and close my eyes, trying to ignore the unsettling feeling in the pit of my stomach that I get every time I feel like something big or major is going to happen. Chapter 3. The ride to Tyson's house was long and awkward. I felt like every time Tyson would turn and look at me, he was just waiting to catch me trying to steal from him, like I would do that anyway. I'm not going to steal, let alone steal something from one of the richest guys at school, even if my life isn't filled with money. "Here, I brought my sister's curler. Go inside that bathroom and curl your hair," he said, grabbing something from the back and throwing a paper bag onto my lap. "Well, what's wrong with my hair?" I asked, looking down at the paper bag, not meeting his eyes, knowing that if I did, something bad would happen. "Nothing," he says, sighing. "My mom just wants everything perfect in her house, and her definition of perfect for a girl is hair curled nicely and dressed appropriately, which you have down," he says sincerely. I bite my lip and nod my head. He tells me he'll be waiting for me, and I get out and walk towards the bathroom with the paper bag clenched in my hands. The bathroom was messy. It had graffiti written all over the walls, mold and stains on either of the toilets and the walls. There was even a strong stench coming from one of the closed stalls. I scrunch my nose up and walk over to the cleanest mirror out of the 3 and set the bag down. The mirror was cracked, but I could still see my face. My blue eyes looked dull and boring compared to my sunshine golden locks that were still on the bun I put it in this morning, with a few bumps here and there. So basically, I looked like I was hit by a truck and then picked up by a tornado. Shaking my head, I plug in the curling iron and wait for it to warm up before curling it and setting it up with the nice loose curls. After I was done, I go to put the curling iron back into the bag and found a medium-sized red ruby box with a note sticking out. I bite my lip and take it out and look at the folded piece of paper.
I'm sorry for the way my mom will be acting. Put these on and keep them. Let's say it's a peace offering.
I smile and open the box, letting out a gasp. The 2 hooped earrings sparkle and shimmer down with the design in an Aztec way. I take one in my palm and bite my lip before holding one of the hooped earrings against my ear.
Beautiful. Wear just like that with a smile and my mom won't see who you are,
a voice says, scaring me and making me jump. I drop the earring back in the box and return towards Tyson, who's leaned against the doorframe of the bathroom. I blush and tuck a curl behind my ear and look back down at the earrings and hold them out for him. I can't accept these. It's too much, even if I'll only wear them once. It's a waste of your money to get me these. You hate me. You don't have to buy me gifts.
Relax, trailer park. It only cost me $50 at Walmart. You can take them back if you'd like. I just thought after everything my mom will do to you, you deserve a gift, even if I do hate you.
Why are you being so nice to me? I thought your oath, along with every other person in the school, was to ruin my life. Tyson doesn't say anything. Instead, he takes my hand and grabs the bag from beside the counter and drags me towards the car. I ignore the pain that shoots up my wrist from the grip he holds as he opens the passenger side door.
If we don't leave now, we'll never get our project done.
I nod my head and ignore the cold glare he set as I set my way in. He slams the door, nearly missing my leg in the process. I shake my head, what seems for the millionth time today, and wait for him to get in. When he does, he doesn't hesitate to speed out of the parking lot, ignoring once again that I didn't even have my seatbelt completely on yet.
Mom, this is Aaliyah Fox. We have a project to work on, so we'll be in my room. Don't bother us, please, Tyson says, walking into his 2-story house.
His mom looks up from her People's magazine and looks me up and down before plastering a fake smile on her face as she turns back and looks at Tyson. That's fine with me. Just make sure Aaliyah doesn't steal anything. I know where that girl lives, and I don't want to take any chances, she says, giving me a quick glance. I frown and look down at my feet. I tune out whatever Tyson says to his mom and study my shoes. The laces are old and black from the multiple times I've worn them. The rim of my shoes has mud around it, and looking at the white carpet of the living room, I'm pretty sure I've left a stain or two. Then Mrs. Bradford would really, truly hate me for ruining something as clean as her pure white carpet.
Come on, Aaliyah. We're going to be studying out in the tree house,
Tyson says, pulling me out of my train of thoughts. I look up and nod my head. Tyson takes my hand and drags me to the backyard. I softly smile at Mrs. Bradford, who returns me with a cold glare that says, I'm watching you. I quickly look away and allow Tyson to lead me outside.
Sorry about that, Fox. Usually she's a bitch to people who don't reach her standards.
Tyson apologizes once we reach the big oak tree in his backyard. I smile at him in understanding and look up at the tree where a ladder goes up from one side and disappears in the branches and leaves. Are we really going up a tree? I gulp as I begin to start feeling dizzy. Tyson raises his eyebrow at me and gives me the "Are you seriously kidding me" look right now.
It is a tree house, he says, crossing his arms over his chest. The word tree is in it.
I bite my lip as I look back at the tree and close my eyes. I slowly open my eyes and walk over to the ladder, hesitation clear in my movements.
The faster you move, the quicker it is,
Tyson states with irritation. I shake my head and start to climb up the ladder. I close my eyes again and I walk up. The breeze is hitting my face and I flinch from the cold. When I open my eyes, I'm on the last step and hoist myself up with Tyson hot on my tail.
Told you it wasn't that bad.
I roll my eyes and turns toward him and take my bag from his hands. Let's just get the project over with so I can go home, I snap.
Fine by me, but only if you do one thing for me,
Tyson says, taking a seat in one of the blue bean bags inside the far corner. I raise my eyebrow at him and slowly walk to the red one across from him. I grip my bag strapped to my chest as I take a seat and watch Tyson from the corner of my eye as he rakes his hand through his hair and down his thigh. "All right, what is it that you want?" I ask, looking down at my lap and start picking at the navy blue nail polish on my fingers.
"This,"
he simply replies, lifting my chin up with his cold hands and gently but forcefully on my lips.